I slept in through my alarm today. I burnt 3 fingers. The Ottawa Senators lost. Doesn't make for a great day, but none of that matters because the Ottawa Senators are in the playoffs. It is official. They have the X beside their name. The Detroit Red Wings lost to the Montreal Canadiens. For about 7 minutes there, Senators fans were screaming, "Go Habs, go," and really hoping for the best. So for the first time since I was in grade 11, I know I'm younger than both of you, but for the first time since I was in grade 11, the Ottawa Senators are in the playoffs. So there's so much to unpack about it. I mean, it's from yesterday to today. There's not much of a difference, but they have the X now, and that makes a whole world of a difference. So my first question to you two, I'll start with you, Paul. Who is this most important for? So Thomas Chabot's been here the longest. Brady Tkachuk is the one that it's kind of like if they didn't make the playoffs this year, is Brady Tkachuk going to request a trade? Claude Giroux comes here to wind down his career. Is he looking to maybe move on if the Senators aren't making the playoffs? Who's this most important for? And it doesn't have to be one of those three.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, my heart would be with Claude Giroux, right? He came here, 3 years ago, thinking he'd be making some playoff runs. It hasn't happened. He's stuck in with the franchise through thick and thin, and here we are. He's got a shot at a playoff run. Who knows where it'll end? So I'd say it's most important to Claude.
All right, and Dayton, what about you?
I want to be a little bit different, and I want to say Steve Staios. I think this is the most important for him because he was bold in a lot of his moves and his strategies and who he brought in, and they looked really good. On paper, everything looked really good. On ice, everything looked really good, but none of it mattered if they didn't make a playoff spot. And he knew that if they didn't make the playoffs this season, there'd be some difficult questions next season because you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Well, you can in Buffalo.
Sorry?
You can in Buffalo, right? I mean...
Well, they keep getting the same result. They're doing yeah. I think Buffalo's the perfect example of why that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think this is huge for Steve Staios. This is a team that was supposed to win and they did, even though they didn't to get in. They still got there. They finally clinched it, and it's not the last game of the season. There's a lot of players who really wanted this. I think the GM needed this.
Yeah, and I mean, so you can go through the list. Tim Stützle, franchise-altering player, deserves to play in the playoffs. Dylan Cousins finally comes in, gets his chance to play in the playoffs. He plays a kind of playoff-style game, too. I think, how did I word the question? Who is this most important to, I think is what I said. I think it is most hurtful to Josh Norris. Really feel bad that he got shipped off to Buffalo, and who knows, it might be another 13 years before he makes the playoffs. But yeah, he was through the worst of it in Ottawa, and then he gets shipped off right before they make it. Sucks to see, but that's the business of the game. But for me, it's Brady Tkachuk. I mean, we listen, like Andy Strickland always has the Brady Tkachuk rumors. It's always going through, like I think Pierre LeBrun's reported it a couple times, not concrete evidence, but saying like there's some stuff going on. Obviously, what's his name with the New York Post?
The guy
I can't remember his name.
The guy that was making up the rumors that what was it? Was how did Staios characterize it? Something like passive,
soft tampering or something like that.
Yeah, soft tampering.
Yeah, so I don't know. Brady Tkachuk is the biggest winner here because everybody can shut up now. All this stuff about Brady Tkachuk getting sick of Ottawa, he's going to be going to St. Louis with Matthew Tkachuk and all this stuff. And for all the people that like especially Andy Strickland, like that's not a shot at him. It's just I'm sure he's reporting what he's hearing and all that stuff. I love his content, but the Brady Tkachuk stuff can stop now. So yeah, I think he's the biggest winner of this. And I guess Steve Staios and Michael Andlauer secondary to Brady Tkachuk for the same reasons, because this can all just stop.
Yeah.
So who we're gonna do? So next week we're gonna do the Senators awards right before the playoffs kick off. So we're gonna go through like the Senators version of all of the major NHL awards. But I'm gonna ask you one today, and it can be a different answer next week. Give you more time to think about it. But who was the most valuable player to this to tonight, like to clinching the playoffs? And so, which player was most important to getting to where they are right now? Dayton?
I mean, you got to go Brady, right? He's the captain. He's the heart of the franchise. I think for a number of years, he was kind of bringing this team on his back pretty singularly. There's a lot of talent around him now. We already mentioned Stützle. Batherson had a great season. Jake Sanderson had a fantastic season. He's a 50-point defenseman now. Claude Giroux, Thomas Chabot, both those guys had really good seasons. But this is Brady's team, and he has worn that crest on his sleeve since he got here. And I think that's, he is the guy. He's the one who primarily got the Senators to where they are today.
Yeah,
okay.
I would agree with Dayton. Hard to disagree that it wouldn't be Brady Tkachuk. He produced the results on the ice, of course, and I think he was the true leader, the believer, and carried everybody else along with him. And he was a believer when, at various points in this season, it was tough to be a believer, right? They looked like at various points they'd be, here's season number 8 outside the playoffs. And he certainly at no point demonstrated anything but total conviction and belief in the team.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't disagree with either of you, but I do have a different answer. And there's an asterisk beside it. But based on what you're saying, Paul, there was times in the season where it looked like it was going to be season number 8 without the playoffs, and it was pretty rough to watch and all that. Who got them out of that? Who got them out of the rough stretch? Who saved this season? It was Levi Miralainen.
Yeah.
The Senators are not in a playoff spot right now if it wasn't for Levi Miralainen. He played 12 games, and he came in when Linus Ullmark was out. Anton Forsberg was playing miserable hockey, and he came in and was lights out. He saved the season. They're not where they are without him. So even since then, like since he got sent back down, the Senators' goaltending has been really good. The Senators have gone on like a 6-game winning streak, 5 games here, a couple good stretches. Imagine having to throw in 6 or 7 extra wins based on the goaltending that they were getting at that point.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess the story is changing on goaltending, right? For a good chunks of the season, there are a lot of pundits, myself included, that looked at the goal and said it's the problem. And nobody's saying that anymore. I mean, Forsberg is, from a save percentage standpoint, he's the hottest goaltender in the NHL right now. If you look at his, last few games, I was also struck by the way he held them in there against the 2 teams from Florida, and the number of shots those teams got on him. Ottawa, if it's got a problem, it's not a goaltending problem. It's a problem with the defense. I mean, they just can't allow opposing teams to rack up that many shots, but they did, and the goaltender, Forsberg, he bailed them out. So good on Anton.
Yeah.
So negotiations, actually, he's going to be an RFA. So
yeah. So before we move on, I'm just going to kind of use that to transition to this question. Do you bring Anton Forsberg back?
No. I feel like I've been saying it for a little while now. Like, Miralainen is the second best goalie in the organization. He should be up with the team. Forsberg costs too much. Miralainen doesn't cost anything. You save a couple of bucks. You can address some of the holes in the defense, or you can address some holes in the depth. because it's not a perfect team, right? We know that there's improvements that need to be made. You can do that a lot easier when you don't have $3 million in your backup goalie.
All right. He is
Or
a free
more.
agent, so he would probably come back cheaper, probably at like 1.5, I would say. But still.
How about half that and you get Marilainen?
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, I got a bad feeling it could be you say goodbye to Forsberg and he goes off in another team and absolutely flourishes wherever he goes.
Well, yes, that is the curse of the Senators goalies.
Yeah. They're good.
They'll do fantastic where they leave.
Yeah, exactly. So
But they won't do good until they leave.
Yeah.
So if you let Forsberg walk, do you bring anybody in?
No, I think you can trust Allmark to kind of handle that. And we know that Marilainen can step in and play 10, 15 games and do very well.
Okay, so look at the roster right now. If Anton Forsberg gets hurt, if we don't have Anton Forsberg and Levi Marilainen or Linus Ullmark get hurt, Malcolm Subban is coming in to play NHL games. Mads Søgaard can't be relied upon. He can't be, he just can't stay healthy enough. Love the guy. Really wish the best for him. I think he's at a runway to make an NHL impact. He just can't stay healthy. I think he played 5 games this year?
Yeah, he 8 in the AHL, 2 in the N.
Yeah, so you're down to Malcolm Subban, or a couple years ago, Ottawa had to sign Antoine Bibeau to be their starter in the AHL because they ran out of goalies because they already used 8 in the NHL that year. I don't know. I think Marilainen deserves the backup spot, but I also would not mind bringing back Forsberg. Maybe it's on a 2-way deal, and so you don't have to pay him that whole bunch in the minors. You're still going to have to clear waivers, obviously, but I don't know. I think you got to bring another goalie in.
Well, it's just for me, the Senators have got, if all goes well, 3 years where they've got a window on a cup. And so I'd want to go in all guns blazing during that 3 years. And for that reason, I keep Forsberg. He's, I know he's had a spotty track record, but as I say, I think it had more to do with the defense playing in front of him. And he could step up, and that tandem of Ullmark and Forsberg could be a pretty powerful one, and one they need in the next couple of years if they are going to be a contender for the cup. But there's a limited time here that they have to do that.
See, I don't know. Forsberg has been so unreliable. There are times he looks fantastic and he saves the Senators, and there are other times that he costs the Senators losses. You can't trust him. So if you want to bring in another veteran or experienced goalie, I would do that instead of Forsberg. Because I think there's going to be other guys who you can get that you're looking at $1.5-2 million bucks. I think because goalies are so kind of unpredictable, you can gamble a little bit and find a guy who had some success in small amounts. Use him. What was Forsberg before he came to Ottawa? That's what he was, right? He was struggled to find consistency, but he had some bright moments, and they got him on waivers. So I think you can find a better risk for cheaper or equal value.
Well, you've got.
Do you want to bring in Matt Murray? He's a UFA this year.
Will he sign for 1.5?
He's making $800,000 right now and not playing in the NHL.
As a backup, I don't hate it.
I mean, there's a few options. Allmark is going to be going up to 8.25. That's a lot of money for a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want to throw another $4 million at the goaltending and pick up Frederik Andersen and have that tandem? Or do you want to go maybe $1 million and a half and go Eric Comrie as a good backup? There's so many options this offseason. There's not a ton of options. There's not a ton of players to sign, but there's a good variety of them. There's kind of one of everything out there.
Well, there's one down in Boston, Corpusalo. They're still paying for his salary, right?
Yeah.
He's only got 2 years left.
See, I would just go back to an argument I've made previous times. It's not the goaltending's problem. Like, the issues that the Senators are facing aren't goaltending issues. They're depth issues. They're defensive issues. Their lack of scoring issues. Even though Forsberg can have some really bad games, like you mentioned, Paul, a lot of the times it's the defense that lets him down, and he doesn't have the skill to steal a game.
Well, tonight's a case in point, right? I mean, the guys playing in front of him were terrible.
Yeah. After 2 periods, did they already have 37 shots or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was like, that's too many. You can't give a, no offense meant, but a B-level goalie that kind of, abuse and expect success. So I wouldn't dump a whole bunch of money in a goaltending tandem. I would run with, Ullmark. He can handle it, right? Sure, he's inconsistent sometimes, but he is a starting goalie. Then you get a backup. I wouldn't try to spend a whole bunch more than $2, maybe $3 million, but $3 million puts you back in the same position that you're in with Forsberg. I wouldn't go more than that for sure.
But you need
the money that you save to address the other issues.
But you need a strong tandem. I mean, I don't think goaltenders today, and certainly Ullmark, what's the most he's ever played in a season? 40-ish, maybe 50. So you got a goaltender you got to rely on for at least 30 games. You need a good one, a proven one. So I don't know. Unless you can do better than Ullmark or Forsberg.
Levi, he's good. We know he's good. And we know that a lot of Senators goalies come to Ottawa and they underperform. And then they leave and they are back to their regular selves. We've seen that time and time again. It's not a goaltending issue, right? It's a team issue. It's a depth issue. It's a defensive issue, which a lot of those have made massive improvements this season. And so I think if you can fix those issues, you're not going to have to worry about who you have in net. Especially behind your starter. So maybe Levi plays 20, maybe even 25, 30 games. I'm fine with that. I don't think you need to have a, very experienced backup if you have a strong starter and a solid core and depth on your forwarding defense.
Well, there's at least 5 articles here that we can write once free agency opens, just based on this conversation, right?
It's an interesting conversation because, like Dayton, you're making the argument of Merilainen. Paul, you're saying Forsberg is good enough and makes sense. And I think that if Freddie Anderson wants to come in at $3.5-4 million, I think that's the way you go. So, 3 totally different articles. Maybe we can collaborate on an article closer to the off season and do that all together or something.
I mean, that'd be fun.
The argument of which path to take. Yeah. All right. So moving away, that started off as playoff talk, exciting playoff talk, and ended up talking about Frederik Andersen. So, Dayton, I want to go to you now. Boots on the ground report of Carter Yakemchuk. So, unfortunately for you, the Saskatoon Blades have been eliminated from the playoffs. Luckily for you, you got to watch Carter Yakemchuk dominate against them. What did you think? What did you think about his performance? What did you think about his development from the start of this season? Just how did he look?
Well, I'll sort of bring you back first to last season when I talked a lot about my concerns with Yakemchuk. I thought 7th overall was maybe a little bit bold for somebody who had some real consistency issues. I'd watched a couple of games where he made an amazing offensive play on one shift. The very next shift, he makes a terrible pinch and gives the opponents a great scoring chance, forcing their goalie to bail them out. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. A lot of the times, Yakemchuk was getting lucky, and that the rest of the team around him was kind of saving him with his bad plays. And I was concerned if you can really bank on a high-end offensive defenseman like that. Fast forward to this season, he's not a high-end offensive defenseman right now. I think he finished with about 50 points after getting over 70 last season, plus 30 goals. And I think he didn't get half that this season. I don't think he hit 20. So
he had 17 goals, so just over half. 49 points, opposed to his 71 last year. In 10 less games, mind you.
Yes. Yeah, there was some mild injuries this season. Nothing too serious. So I had some concerns, and going into this playoff series, it was my first time watching him since he was drafted by the Senators. I was very surprised and very comforted with how he's playing now. He is not making mistakes. He's just playing really solid, consistent, patient defense. And he is, like, his awareness of the game has really improved. He is making really well-timed decisions. He's moving the puck really well. He's not engaging in the offense because he is playing more of a shutdown defensive role. But then there was moments during the games where he did engage, and he showed that he still has that ability to pull off fantastic moves as a defenseman and really drive the net and play that aggressive offensive style. So I wanted to ask him kind of what happened. What was the difference, or what changed from last season to this season? Like, did your role change? What's going on? And he basically said, and you can see all the quotes in the article that I published recently, but he basically said that last season's team was not very good. So he was carrying them on his shoulders. He had to do everything. He had to be the offensive guy. He had to be the defensive guy. That's a lot of pressure on an 18-year-old. And he made mistakes. This season, they have a much better team. They could go all the way to the WHL finals. They have the talent to do that. They're going to have to get through the Medicine Hat Tigers first, which is not going to be easy. I don't know if you've seen Gavin McKenna's point streak, but just Google it.
It's ridiculous.
Just Google it. It's a fantastic number.
It's like those are video game numbers from Gavin McKenna. Mm-hmm. Like, it's even beyond video game numbers.
Yeah. I did a prospect podcast earlier today, and Prospect Corner. I checked his points per game in the playoffs. Just a total side note. It's 3.2. He has 3.2 points per game average in the playoffs. 5 games, 16 points.
So, Dayton, question for you.
Yes.
Don't let me put words in your mouth, but my impression from what you're saying is that he's much more responsible defensively this year.
Yeah.
And so do you think a decision about him playing on the World Junior team would have been different if Cameron had seen Yakemchuk this year as opposed to last year?
I don't know. The World Junior issues were, I don't think, player related. I honestly believe that Canada could send 3 full teams and all of them would be competitive.
Right.
You're not really picking the best players because you have several dozen very, very good players that you're selecting. And there's going to be some players that you need to take. And there were some guys that maybe Canada could have replaced if they wanted to do that. But they're trying to do Canada things. And their selection wasn't.
Zane Parekh wasn't on that team. I don't take any decision. They were all terrible. Not all, but
They made very Team Canada decisions, which is we have to make sure that we bring the best third line guy. We have to make sure we bring the best fourth line winger. We make sure they're doing that. They're playing 5D chess in a game where you probably only need 2D chess. Yeah. They're overthinking it, and they've done that for years, and it's why we haven't seen the same results. It's also why they brought in someone like Dave Cameron, who was, in my personal opinion, the primary reason why Canada did not make it to the medals. It wasn't because they didn't bring Zane Parekh and Carter Yakemchuk. Would they have been better? I have no idea, because Cameron was still the coach. Yeah. And I think he just didn't care, and he didn't get enough out of his team, and I think it would have been the same result. So, with all that being said, Yakemchuk is progressing into a much more responsible, like you said, Paul, defenseman. He is playing a much more mature game. He is, he feels comfortable relying on his team this season, and he feels comfortable hanging back and playing more of that smart, reserved role and stepping in when he can and when he has to. And that's just far less. And like, imagine being an opposing player and you get a puck, you get a giveaway, a turnover from the Calgary Hitmen, and all of a sudden you're staring face to face with Carter Yakemchuk, all 6'3", 6'4" of him. You can't get around him. Yeah. So he is a fantastic shutdown guy who can score 30 goals if he needs to. The Senators made the right choice in 7th overall. I thought he was fantastic in the series, and a big reason why they were able to sweep the Saskatoon Blades.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate. Obviously, I haven't watched as much WHL content as you have this year, Paul. I don't want to speak for you, but I assume it's the same. But yeah, it's nice having you kind of in and around that league and being able to give that kind of feedback on some prospects. So good news on Yakemchuk developing the rest of his game. So his 49 points, just real quick. Would you say that he struggled offensively, or that was more of a sacrifice to improve his defensive game?
Yes, I would say more so the latter. He's just not playing that high-end offensive game this season. He's not the primary puck carrier. He gives it away to someone else, and then they set up a play elsewhere. And he's still good at moving the puck. He's still good at shooting. He's just not trying to find those opportunities. He's letting those opportunities come to him. And when they do, they're so much better.
So in layman's terms, last year was equivalent to Erik Karlsson's 100 points on the Sharks. Those 100 points didn't matter, but he still did it, and it was good.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, Paul, got a question for you now. You wrote an article recently about the X factors. You specifically mentioned the depth players in the lineup, but who are they and why? And Dayton, I want to know, how many do you have, Paul? I don't remember how many were in that.
It was 3.
It was 3. Okay, so Dayton, I'll get your 3 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I had Zetterlund. He came through tonight with his first goal. I was glad to see that because he's just been so close. You can see him ready to bust out. He is a goal scorer. I don't think the first 16 games that he's played with Senators do him justice, but I think he could be a big factor. And if you listen to Ottawa fans now, they're wondering, well, why did we get him? Why is he playing on the first line? He's a fourth line player at best. My prediction, I think he'll be a factor in the playoffs. The other guy, and you can argue this one, but I said Tyler Kleven, and although he's looked shaky and he's making rookie mistakes back there, he's another guy that, if he could get a little more confidence, could break out in the playoffs. And, if you look at his shots, the number of shots, they're right up there, his shooting percentage, he plays a physical game. So I thought, watch for him. And then, back to goaltenders, I said Anton Forsberg. And, I said, look, he's got to step up because they can't ride Allmark. If they get a playoff run going for them, he's going to have to go in there and he's going to have to play well. And, like I said, if you look at his stats, his shooting percentage, or not shooting percentage, save percentage, he's one of the best in the NHL right now. And on the season, if you look at his goals against and save percentage, he's put up numbers as good as Allmark's. So there you have it, the 3. But I do acknowledge there's a number of other guys too that I could have written about in that article.
Yeah, for sure. Dayton, who's your 3?
Specifically of depth players?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Ridley Gregg, I think, is my number one. He plays a playoff style of hockey, and I think he could be just a real tough player to deal with on the third line. He's, kind of been up and down this season, but still ends up with 31 points, 12 goals. I think he could be very, very effective. I think David Perron could be a very important factor. He's got that veteran experience. He does also play a hard game, but he is more finesse based. He can move the puck a little bit better. He's got a really good shot. I think having that veteran leadership on that third line is going to be very important. And finally, I'm going to go with Nick Matanpalo, who has probably become my favorite depth player on the Senators. He is just so consistent. He's not looking to play offensively. I don't know if you saw the quote from when he scored his first goal just last weekend. But he's basically, he accepted the fact that he was never going to score in the NHL. The quote was something like, he kind of was thinking about it for the first 20 games, and then after that, he didn't think it was going to happen. And that was 20 more games until he scored.
Well, I think what made it special too, stuck out for me is I think as Claire Hanna asked him, do you think your parents are up late watching the game back in Finland? And he said, no, as a matter of fact, they're here tonight. So what a happy coincidence.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. I missed that. He's so consistent. And I think you really need consistency from your depth defenseman in the playoffs. He's somebody who can really anchor a line, especially if something goes wrong. So I think those would be my three.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many depth players. Dayton, you took two of my three with Perron and Matanpalo. I think that they are phenomenal in their roles and can do a lot of really good things come playoff time. But for me, the third one is going to be Nick Cousins, actually. The forgotten fourth liner on the Senators. He was on the ice today for practice or morning skate, and he's nearing a return. He's really important to this team. Like, he played really, really well on the fourth line. He added some good offense, obviously a ton of physicality and a bunch of I hate youism. I don't know a better way to put it. But he just makes everybody hate you or hate him. He is a perfect fit for the playoffs. Obviously, we saw what he did with the Panthers in the playoffs. I don't remember if he played with the Flyers in the playoffs, but that makes perfect sense for him to be a Flyer in the playoffs. Just the I hate youism is a perfect fit there. So, yeah, I think that he could be a huge game changer, getting Matthew Highmore or Angus Crookshank out of the lineup. I like what I've seen from Crookshank, but he just doesn't have the experience heading into the playoffs. So I'd like to see Highmore come out of the lineup over Crookshank, but either one of them, I would definitely like to see Crookshank play in the playoffs, but I don't expect him to be a game changer or anything. So, yeah, those would be my picks. So to wrap things up, the Florida Panthers, are they tanking? So they sat first in the division for quite a while, most of the season. Toronto has recently taken over, and Tampa Bay is right behind them. The Panthers are starting to fall behind. They have not been playing very good hockey as of late. Obviously, they have Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk out with injury. Aaron Ekblad suspended for 20 games. And then they're also sitting Gustav Forsling. They sat Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett. They sat a lot of players. So I don't know if any of you have a roll of tinfoil beside you, but let's put it on our head. Are the Florida Panthers tanking to try and take Ottawa's spot in the playoffs to play against the Toronto Maple Leafs? We remember last year we had the We Want Florida, or 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago. We had the We Want Florida chants. So picking your opponent or asking for a certain opponent can backfire sometimes. Is it just a coincidence, or do you think that the Panthers could be trying to end up playing against the Toronto Maple Leafs over the Tampa Bay Lightning? What do you think, Dayton?
I did see the bit with Paul Bissonnette.
Yes.
It's got the tinfoil on. This is a little bit of a big brain strategy that people are trying to force on the Panthers. I think you're just resting up for the playoffs. I don't think you're thinking about trying to pick your opponent because, like you said, that can backfire. And if it does, and that's what you were doing, then people are getting fired. That's a really, really risky move. So I think what's actually happening is just guys are tired, guys are injured. They have a playoff spot. They're not losing it. So, okay, let's take some time, rest up, get healthy. We'll play who we play. But I don't think they're aiming for the Leafs or anything like that.
All right, Paul, what do you think? You with Dayton on this one?
Well, I'm a trusting soul, Jacob. I can't believe NHL teams would tank deliberately to, engineer a favorite or a preferred team. But, even if they were inclined that way, I wouldn't want to take the Leafs on. They're on a real heater now, right? They've, what are they, 8-1-1 for a 850 points percentage? I'm liking Tampa Bay better than them, notwithstanding how they did last year against the Leafs. I'm with Dayton. Or maybe you mentioned it, Jacob. They're banged up. They're missing Tkachuk, Barkov, Bennett, Reinhart. Those are the top 4 points getters they've got. I mean, inevitable that they wouldn't be doing well. I think that's all it is.
You guys are boring. I was hoping for some super big brain, 20-minute tangent about how the Panthers want the Maple Leafs and all this stuff. Brad Marchand versus the Leafs again. Some sort of storylines that you guys are boring.
This is
I'm well aware that I'm boring.
This is a low budget show. We can't afford tinfoil the way Bissonnette does.
We're not getting paid by ESPN here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, after dunking on you, I'm with you guys. It's just how it works at this time of year. Teams rest their guys that are a little bit banged up. They rest the top guys. Don't want to risk them getting hurt, even if they're 100% healthy, which nobody is at this point. But even if they are, you don't want them to get banged up. So it's that time of year.
If you want to, try to think about this, if they're trying to pick their opponent and get Marchand to face the Leafs again, like Paul said, is that not the dumbest idea right now? The Leafs are on a heater. And I think a lot of those Leafs have a chip on their shoulder. And if it looks like they're losing, I think they're going to make some real dumb decisions. And Marchand's not an age right now where he can afford another team making dumb decisions to try to take him out. Right? He's on the back nine. And maybe pretty close to the 18th hole here. He's not the same player he used to be in Boston. And if he thinks he can strategize and the Leafs, I'm their weakness, then I'd have about the same respect I have for him at the current point.
Well, let me ask you guys.
If you're going to lick somebody, I'm not going to ever root for you.
See, I love it. I don't love the lick. But I love Brad Marchand
stomping on guys' stick blades, and no,
you must have loved him though, Dayton in the Four Nations face-off.
I tolerated him in the Four Nations face-off.
So
he is the reason I cannot cheer for Boston. I can cheer for Boston now if I need to. I can't cheer for Florida.
Hey, let me ask you. So I was looking at the standings. What are the odds of Ottawa overtaking Florida for a third spot?
There's a 4-point gap with 4 games left. Not likely, but if Florida continues sucking, then it's certainly possible. Tampa and Toronto have both clinched home ice. No, they haven't. Just Toronto. But yeah, and Tampa's only 2 points behind Toronto. Florida's 2 behind Tampa. Ottawa's 2 behind Florida. So like anything can change between now and the playoffs. It still could be a Battle of Ontario, but it could be 2nd and 3rd in the Atlantic or 1st and wildcard 1.
Yeah.
Anything is up for grabs. I think anything except for Ottawa winning the division is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that'll wrap things up for today. This was quite a fun episode, and we're watching playoff hockey. Like it doesn't get any better than that.
It's the best time.
Canada's opening up a new electric factory. Grand opening in 2 weeks. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. So next week we will do kind of a season wrap up, talk about like our fake awards and whatnot. And then after that, probably within the coming days, we'll have a season a playoff preview. We'll know who they're playing. So look forward to that. We're going to have a ton of playoff content coming to the YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out as well. I'm sure you'll be seeing all 3 of these faces on the YouTube channel for an assortment of things. Dayton, of course, on Prospect Corner, Paul on this show, maybe some other things, and then I'll be doing a lot as well. So going to be tons of stuff. Make sure to check out everything on thehockeywriters.com as well, and we'll see you next week.